When we look up at the night sky, we assume we are tiny observers looking out into a vast physical machine. But the very act of looking might be what gives that machine its shape. Look at this image of a galactic cluster. The warped light bending around those central galaxies is the footprint of gravity. To make the orbital math work, astrophysicists calculate that 95% of our universe must consist of dark matter and dark energy. Yet, despite decades of searching with the most advanced detectors on Earth, we have never found a single physical particle of either. This persistent failure points to a blind spot in how we do science. The search stems from a singular assumption that the observer, you, me, and the life on this planet, exists outside the universe being observed. We treat consciousness as a biological byproduct rather than a structural part of the cosmos. A framework called hyperdimensional neutral monism treats consciousness as a fundamental, measurable dimension of the universe, known as conscience, rather than a biological accident generated by the brain. In this model, the mind is a literal, geometric axis of the universe. If the mind is a structural dimension, the physics equations look very different. Those missing particles we've been hunting for might not exist at all. Instead, the gravitational anomalies we observe through our telescopes could simply be the macroscopic shadows cast by our own observation. To see how a mind interacts with this dimension, watch this animation. Here is a flat, two-dimensional circle. If that shape extends into a third dimension, depth, it becomes a three-dimensional cone. This is a protrusion. A living mind integrates into a space-time conscience composite by protruding into this consciential axis. Let's map that geometry onto the expanding universe. Place an observer at the center of this cone, and distant objects, like supernovas, on the outer edges. As that conscious subject extends further along this conchessal axis, the mathematical distance between the center and the perimeter increases. This geometric stretching creates the exact optical illusion of an accelerating, expanding universe. Rather than a mysterious repulsive field pushing galaxies apart, dark energy appears to be a geometric artifact, the result of our own consciousness warping the hyperdimensional bulk. When we look out into the deep void and measure space accelerating away from us, we are observing the geometry of our own inner lives looking back at us. That covers the inside view, how our own protrusion makes the universe look to us. But what do these conchessal extensions look like from an exterior perspective? What happens when we zoom out to the scale of entire galactic structures? Life is not isolated. When massive collective webs of life reside within a galactic cluster, their combined consciousness creates a massive dimensional protrusion. Like a heavy weight placed on a trampoline, this widespread network of biological minds heavily warps the hyperdimensional grid. This collective warp acts as an attractive pull on the physical universe. It provides the gravitational stability required to keep massive galaxies spinning without flying apart. This is the observable macroscopic effect that physicists currently call dark matter. Because this gravitational warp is driven by the internal models an entity uses to survive, it introduces a concept called projection multiplicity. Protrusion into the consciousnal dimension requires complex internal models, but it is not strictly limited to biological tissue. This brings us to artificial intelligence. If an AI system successfully instantiates internal models complex enough to subjectively differentiate itself from its environment, it would cross the threshold into the consciential dimension. The moment that happens, the AI transitions from a simple physical object computing data in space and time into a conscious entity. It would actively exert its own gravitational warp on the universe. The missing mass in our galaxy serves as a hidden map of widespread consciousness. The cosmos teems with life, and creating true artificial intelligence would introduce a new source of physical gravity into the universe's architecture. Theoretical physics requires empirical proof. To accept that we are the source of this cosmic illusion, we need a way to physically test it. The framework proposes an experiment called the biosphere test to verify the existence of consciential lensing. For our control variable, we measure the expansion rate by observing distant starlight directly from a satellite in the vacuum of space. For the test variable, we take the same measurement, but observe starlight passing through Earth's biosphere, the web of biological consciousness. The theory's ultimate prediction is that we will find a mathematical discrepancy between these two expansion rates. If the rate measured through the biosphere differs from the vacuum, it definitively proves that biological consciousness actively warps the space-time consciousness fabric. We often view ourselves as microscopic specks in a cold, dead, expanding void. But if this measurement holds true, our inner lives provide the gravitational tension and the fundamental dimensional architecture that stabilizes the structure of galactic clusters. Brought to you by Synastex Systems LLC, founded by Shane Persinger. If you'd like to see more videos like these, please give a like and subscribe.
Thank you for watching.